like to share with you a little bit about spiritualism, and we draw from Emma Hardinge's Modern Spiritualism, a 20-year history. And this is something I read today, because I read a little bit each day. And in this, she talks about one particular medium, but there are actually several. In this particular medium, Mrs. Danskin is a medium through whom the what we would call the darker spirits, or the poorly or undeveloped spirits, would talk through, and they would share with those who are present in the circle about the deplorable shipwrecks which crime and ignorance had made of their souls. And these undeveloped souls, rather, I prefer souls as opposed to spirits, these undeveloped souls would bring warnings and instructions for others to learn by. You could say it was an attempt to give us warning, to pay attention to what it is that we are doing to ourselves, and to work through, as the Buddha would say, work through our salvation diligently. And it was through these types of communications that circles developed that were dedicated to assisting these particular souls, because the idea of former criminals as souls benefiting from human counsel, it seemed to undermine a lot of preconceived notions and a lot of doctrinal teachings, particularly those who invest in the idea that if we do wrong here, we will be caught up in some form of everlasting punishment. And it was through these types of circles that these souls would develop themselves on the other side. Now, unfortunately, there's nothing that speaks on how these circles operated. Reverend Bacon, who is still with us, thank you, she learned from the Reverend Harry Hilborn, and he was involved in a lot. And I'm not sure if she's able to shed any light on this type of circle or this type of mediumship or not. If she could, we would greatly appreciate her words.
Are you talking about like seance circles?
Yes.
I do seances, and I do them very similar, like Reverend Kilborn did. The difference is that I give readings to everybody. At the end of the seance, I ask if there was somebody that they wanted to come in that didn't. If they come in, fine. If they don't, somebody generally comes in for them. People show up. But I think a lot different than other people that do seances. This is not a scary event. You talk about seances and people get scared already. Talk about readings, people are scared already. I don't know if I want to hear it. I don't know if I want to hear what you have to say. But what I tell them is that my job is to keep the connection. That's my job. That's what I'm hired to do. Your job is to enjoy it. We do not allow any agitation of the spirit in our church, in our in our environment. We live with these spirits. We live in the church. It was a funeral home. We live here. We have to get along with everybody. And what I have found is by not allowing the agitation, because many people that do seances, ghost hunters, whatever you want to call them, they agitate the spirit because they think that that's when they're going to come out and they're going to do this. No, these spirits were people, or at least they have feelings if they weren't people. And if you make somebody welcome and they feel good, they'll return. If you agitate them and make them feel less than or something that they're not going to come back. They're just like us. You feel good being around somebody, you're coming back. So, their job is to have a nice time. If they feel something, see something, think they feel something, they're allowed to talk in our circle. That was a huge no-no back in the day. You had to sit quiet, feet flatly on the floor. Well, I'm here to tell you that if you're standing on your head and the spirit has something to say to you, the spirit is going to touch you. Your feet on the floor isn't going to change anything. They had so many rules back in the day. But today, when you're doing a seance, you are to stay focused. I've actually had dog fights at my feet doing a seance, and I was expected to continue the seance as the people separated the dog. And I did. It's serious business, and they're to have fun. And everybody likes a reading. So a little mini reading at the end is nice. I tell them up front, do not make what I have to say to you fit. If it doesn't fit, then I'm not bringing the person into you that you know. Simple. This is a simple thing for you. Also, what you experience in a seance, no matter how genuine you are, no matter how much you try to be inclusive, please, if I come to you and it's somebody you know, acknowledge, or if I throw something out there, because first part of the seance is what I'm feeling and seeing. Hardly anybody ever talks. They're really hard to do because they sit there like this and you're thinking to the spirit, you know what, you better send somebody to show up that they're going to do something, because I'm just throwing things out there, and eventually somebody will say something, but generally it's the conversation afterwards. Remember when you brought in my father and you said this and that? Now, I may have 20 people in a seance. No, I don't remember that. Well, that was my dad. I told somebody, I have a father here that went over quickly with a heart attack, and I believe it's you because he's standing by you. Oh no, we never had heart disease in my family. Never. Nobody ever had any heart problem. After it's all over with, the girl came to me and said, my dad died of a heart attack. Do you think that's heart disease or heart problem? This is what they do. This is what the general public do. And you're just sitting there. You're talking to the spirit for 30 minutes. Your seances should not last more than an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. People cannot sit that long, and nobody cares about your grandmother. So you just give it out, get moving, and they're not going to say anything. Generally, every now and then you get a really good group. So, and you're telling the spirit, somebody better show up here. I need confirmation somewhere because I'm getting lost, But the truth is you keep giving it out, whether you get confirmation or not. And that goes for any reading that you do, and that goes for any seance that you do. You come to realize there's a spirit. You're able to communicate, and then you come to believe in the spirit. Always believe in the spirit. Continue your spiritual work no matter what's going on outside of you. Stay focused. That's what I have to say. That's it. That's my lecture for the day, folks.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments they would like to direct to Reverend Bacon while she's here with us? Well, thank you.
That tells me I was that good or that boring, Philip.
You left them speechless.
I did. Nobody wants to get me going again. You put a nickel in me, you get a quarter's worth.
Well, thank you for that. And we can only assume from what Reverend Bacon shared and what Emma Hardinge provided for us that the growth for those souls that to us we call undeveloped, it takes place within those circles through our conversations and other actions and activities. It would seem that the axiom that the early spiritualists said, be kind, which is what they reduced everything to, is to just be kind to those souls and be kind to each other. And Thank you very much for that, Reverend Bacon, and thank you all for allowing us to share that.
Well, Philip, I'm sorry. I was on a different wavelength than you were. So I'm sorry, but the bottom line is be kind. We all need to have kindness.